Today, I want to talk about a really interesting, recently done, randomly controlled experiment, which is one of the largest of such trials looking at how useful case management is as opposed to simple financial assistance in reducing the likelihood of someone becoming homeless. This is a really important topic as case management is not cheap. But there is a general vibe that providing holistic support to someone is better than simply throwing some money at them. Additionally, randomized controlled trials are the gold standard of research when examining such issues. In short, they basically found that either there was no difference or that even providing case management can be detrimental. But beyond simply summarizing some of the interesting things the research found, I want to explore to what extent can we use this research in practical settings and some things in the research that demonstrated why we need to be more critical of research rather than simply saying, well, because this paper says X, it must be true. So, let's start with some of the key highlights of the research. In short, King County, Washington has an existing program where they provide case management and financial support of about $1,400 to people at risk of imminent homelessness. In this program, they split the group into two, and instead of providing case management, they just provided financial support. They were not only able to see immediate outcomes, but the study using administrative data was able to track participants for about 2 years post-treatment, looking at homeless program use, eviction rates, use of food or cash benefits, arrests, medical use, and the need for psychological treatment. So, let's start with where there was a difference in results. First, upon exiting the program, the group that only received financial support were 12% more likely to exit into not being homeless. Now, this is partially explained by the fact that they left the program earlier and maybe left closer to actually receiving financial assistance. Second, the group that received both money and management were twice as likely, a total of about 8% within a year of the program, to make use of homelessness programs. While this was originally used as a primary measurement of the person becoming homeless, it is likely this increased use may also be due to the fact that increased homeless program participation is due to them being referred by their case managers. Now, in terms of all these interesting long-term factors, there was no differences between the groups. No differences in eviction rates, crime, use of food and cash support, and medical issues. This is a really significant result, given that the trial was quite large at about 630 people, and the case management group cost double the amount that the financial assistance group cost. So, if hypothetically the program as a whole eliminated case management, they could help double the amount of people. Upon further investigation, the researchers basically found that a strong portion of the difference was the fact that case managers had discretion as to when to give money to people and often did it later, even though on average they gave more money. That delay appeared to be a really big deal. Although, even upon deeper investigations, they found that having more case management support did not help, other than increasing referrals to homelessness programs. Now, I want to explain how I'm lying to you. That meaning, how a cursory look at these results probably indicates that these results are more transferable to other situations than they actually may be. I'm going to start with the obvious and get less obvious, but still really, really important. First, this study is looking at a specific county in a specific state in America, and there may be a number of cultural or systematic differences between that place and your place. Second, this study was looking at people who were at imminent risk of homelessness, who were under 25 or had a dependent, meaning that unlike a lot of other programs, this was primarily made up of women and children. Additionally, the program splits people at imminent risk of homelessness between medium and high risk. Only medium risk people were in the study, high risk were not. Third, the way the program works here may be very different from the program you are looking at. On average, the amount of money provided was about $1,400, with case managers having discretion to give more, up to $2,400. Money was not directly given to participants. In both groups, the case managers paid the relevant bills, usually back rent. Case management practices massively differ across programs, with here probably being an example of a well-done case management program based on other qualitative work. It was considered quite holistic, with the program being built from the ground up with case management in mind. Fourth, very importantly, despite it sounding like the group that just received financial support, it in fact received also case management support. They on average received 6 hours of case management post the initial day of support and did not leave the program for 167 days, as opposed to the case management group with about an average of 13 hours post the first day and 212 days of interaction. Additionally, qualitative research on this particular program highlights that case management hours, especially for the case management group, are probably being drastically understated. While this is somewhat accounted for by the fact that the researchers did do some analysis on hours, finding, as previously mentioned, no real linkage between the amount of hours and outcomes, there does appear to be a greater level of baseline hours of case management in the no case management group than initially appears. Finally, I want to look at some of my nitpicky issues I had with the article. First is the study's conclusion on crime. For context, something that I did not mention is that something that is made very clear in the research is that there was actually a difference in crime after the first year, with the case management group having close to double the arrest rate that the financial assistance group had. Without getting technical, and admittedly there is a much longer technical version of this script, I frankly don't really buy this result. the initial arrest rate difference between the groups is 2.8%, and a year later, that difference increases to 3.1%, a total of 0.3% difference. I find it much more plausible that the case management group was simply a higher arrest group to begin with. Second, the authors unconventionally were accepting results as statistically significant at the 10% level as opposed to the industry standard of 5%. Basically, there is a 10% chance that any reported result here is a false positive. This is made worse by the amount of things that are being measured, that being 136 things were measured with p-values, meaning that using a p-value of 10%, we would expect 13.6 of the positive measurements to be false positives. Now, all these things are valid to measure, so I'm not accusing the authors of p-hacking, but it makes the use of such a high p-value worse. Now, to summarize the results properly this time, when providing a low level of case management support, in addition to financial support that is not directly given to the participant, where the participant is under 25 or has dependents, there are similar to slightly better results than providing financial assistance and in-depth case management support. Having more case management beyond the basic level provided to the first group did not increase results. However, providing financial support sooner did, although we are talking in the 2 to 6% range. The authors suggest an additional takeaway would be that case management services should be opt-in. Thank you.